It usually takes a professional less than 3 seconds to get it done. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brayton and welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be learning how to shuck an oyster. When we refer to oyster shucking, what exactly are we talking about?
Basically, the goal of an oyster shucker is to open an oyster in 3 or 4 seconds, if need be when you're pressed for time, and have the oyster be as perfect as it was the 4 seconds before you just took it out of the shell. It's going to be sitting there without a cut in the belly or any of the meat. It's going to be severed from the shell and just perfect, and you just toss it right back.
Is it difficult?
It can be very difficult. Yes, there's a number of injuries that you are wielding a sharp knife, and with most oyster shuckers, you are also drinking. The best advice was from my sister, who was a champion oyster shucker there, and when I was starting to asking for advice, she stopped and she looked at me as she always does, and she says, do 5,000, then come back and ask me. So really the advice is do as many as you can. With each one, you're gonna get better and better.
Like you mentioned, there are a lot of oyster shucking competitions around the world. Have you ever been involved in one?
I've competed about 5 competitions, 5 or 6 competitions, and I just competed at the Canadian National Competition this year in Tyne Valley with some of the best guys in Canada.
And how fast are you?
I was very, very happy that I came in 4th place in Canada. They take your flat time, so it's how quickly you open them, and then they take deductions for if the belly's cut, if the meat isn't severed. So my time for doing 18 oysters was 1 minute 43 seconds.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. All right, so now it's time for me to show you how to shuck an oyster. There's 2 different ways to shuck an oyster. One is from the back, or the hinge, which we do here in the Maritimes and a little bit out west. And the other one is going in by the side. We're gonna stick to the back hinge opening method, and we're gonna show you how to do that. So what you do is you take your oyster, you're gonna place it out in front of you. This up here, the flat side, that is gonna call the lid, and this one is gonna be called the cup. The oyster, you always want it to be cup side down. If you haven't done 10,000 oysters, here's what I suggest. Take your oyster, put it in a cloth on the counter, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your hand, and don't put your hand like this, because there's no reason to protect the oyster. You wanna protect your hand. So you take the cloth, and you're gonna cover your hand with it. That way, if this knife slips, you're gonna be protected for it. Now, I'm gonna show you without the cloth. So you take your knife, you're gonna find this sweet spot in the back hinge right here, and you're gonna go in at about a 45-degree angle downwards. So you take your knife, you're gonna hold it nice and firm so the oyster doesn't rock. That's where a lot of the injuries happen. Just with a little bit of pressure, just like you're sharpening a pencil, a little bit of wiggling, not too much. That's a mistake most people make, is that they try to wiggle too much, and then you're breaking all the shells, and if shells fall in the oyster, no one likes a crunchy oyster. So once the knife is in, you'll see you found the sweet spot. The knife is just gonna stand right up there. Hold it in there, you give it a little pop. There you go, the oyster is open. Now the trick is to release the top muscle and the bottom muscle. They call it the adductor muscles. So how we do that is we take our knife, and you're gonna be doing more scraping than cutting. You're gonna hold the oyster open like that. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your knife all the way to the back, to the right side of the muscle. The muscle's gonna be right there, sort of off to a little bit of the right. Imagine that this was an oyster and our heart was off to the right. Same thing with this muscle of the oyster. So you pry it open, you're gonna go to the right side of the muscle, or the far side. You're gonna give a nice little cut there. And once you cut the muscle, the shell's just gonna fall away. And the shell falls away, you're gonna flatten it out a little bit. There you're left with a beautiful little oyster like that. You're gonna lift the back up just to check if there's any shell. No shell, we're looking perfect. This is a very, very nice oyster. There's no cut in the body or the meat. Then you're gonna take your knife, and just in one nice little swoop, you're gonna cut away from you. Again, more kind of moving against the shell than cutting through it. You just push across it like that, your oyster's freed, and you're set to go.